come up with a good plan, do a feasibility study, then get up and take action.
Welcome back. Today we highlight Chris Wilson, who started his real estate investment company with a VA loan. Chris is an accomplished small business owner, an active duty service member, and has over 9 years in the real estate investment business.
I've always aspired to be an entrepreneur. The reason why I initially joined the Army was partially because I wanted to raise capital and gain the skills necessary to successfully run a small business. About 8 years ago, I was made aware of the provisions provided by the VA loan to help service members buy multifamily homes. Since then, I've purchased properties that cover Western and Central Tennessee. There are many hurdles that have to be overcome when starting a small business. The first of which is simply overcoming self-doubt. I think there's always going to be that moment that you have when those thoughts creep into your mind telling you that this is too big of a risk to take, or there's a better opportunity coming down the pipeline. Another hurdle that has to be overcome is communicating effectively to your loved ones those hopes, dreams, and aspirations, and understanding that they may not buy into your vision and you may have to travel this journey alone. Initially, I set aside about $20,000 to start my business. I'm a firm believer in never using old money to start a new business. So once I had the idea, I saved the money. I think it makes you appreciate the process a little more. Initially, I had to bring about $5,000 to the closing table. However, when I got to the closing table, I was surprised with a check covering the prorated rent from the tenants that were already in place. And plus the financial institution that I went through to finance the house, they refunded my escrow account about 2 months later. Be patient. You're about to make one of the largest purchases of your life. Give yourself time to be comfortable with that decision, to look at many properties, to work with different people, to talk with individuals who've walked this path before. Secondly, do your research. This is one of those things that you don't get to do again. Yeah, you can refinance later on, but if you slow down, do your research, identify hurdles that are identifiable, you can avoid them and save yourself some heartache that may come down the line. Don't be afraid to walk away if things are not going according to your vision. This is your vision. Stick to it. If you find that you're working with someone whose goals and aspirations lie elsewhere, simply walk away and find someone who's willing to help you accomplish your dreams. For example, when I first started out, I met a great real estate person. However, they were primarily focused on selling single-family homes, and my focus was multi-family homes. While I built a great relationship with this person, and it was hard to walk away from that relationship, I had to put my goals and dreams first and separate myself from the situation. I have about 2 more pieces of advice to offer on that. One is understand that a short-term savings can be a long-term expense. That is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. There's nothing worse than paying someone to do a job just to have to turn around and have someone redo it. For example, when I first got started, I hired a tradesman to come in and replace the roof, do some painting, and lay some carpeting. About $15,000 into the job, they ran into some legal trouble and left the job. I had to pay an additional $5,000 to have someone come in to finish that job. Had I just slowed down, did some Google searches, looked at the Better Business Bureau, I would have found out that that person had a history of leaving job sites. Lastly, try to attach yourself to a larger organization. There are many websites and organizations that allow small business owners to co-op. If you can find a way to hire a tradesman or to outsource work to these organizations, you'll get better prices and you'll get better quality of work, because these individuals have a relationship with these websites. They want to come back again and get more work. So do your due diligence and try to align yourself with other organizations when at all possible. While networking is very important in being an entrepreneur, taking action is equally as important. When I first got started in this business, I knew very few people who were doing the things that I aspired to do. But once I got started, like-minded people started to fill my phone book, because action begets action. One of the best opportunities I've ever had the opportunity to take advantage of came by way of an individual I met on a previous job site. He called me out of the blue, said he was in a situation and couldn't take advantage of an amazing opportunity. I bought the property and it's been producing for me ever since. I love the story Chris Rock tells. He says when he was poor and drove a junky car, when he sat on the side of the road trying to wave people down to help push his car, no one would help. But once he started pushing himself, people were eager to join in. What I'm basically saying is get up, take the steps necessary to accomplish your dreams. And I promise you, like-minded people will follow. I can remember almost giving up right at the beginning. I don't care how hard you prepare your business plan or how thoroughly you conduct your feasibility study. It won't prepare you for the anxiety associated with making the decisions and spending the money necessary to get your business off the ground. I can remember a day before closing, I got a call from the bank that I financed the house through. They said I had to bring an additional $1,800 to closing. I immediately called my real estate agent and said, hey, listen, I'm having second thoughts. I don't think I'm going to go through with it. You know, fortunately, I had a real estate agent that had the intestinal fortitude necessary to tell me that I was about to make a foolish decision that would derail a goal that I had been working for my entire life. He immediately hopped on his motorcycle, drove down to where I was, and explained to me that I had dedicated countless hours and spent countless amount of money to make this goal happen. I'm eternally grateful for him doing that for me. So there will be times along this journey where you will see many comfortable parking spaces that you'll want to stop on. I encourage you to keep moving forward. That ultimate destination is definitely worth all the anxiety and all the heartache associated with those decisions that need to be made. The advice I would like to impart on someone who's about to enter the real estate business is to don't get caught up in just talking about it. Like I said earlier, my phone book is filled with people who are like-minded. Some are ready to talk about it, some are ready to be about it. I know that we get all those positive emotions and those chemical reactions that give us all that pleasure associated with living in those dreams as we go over them in our mind. However, I would encourage you to allow that to fuel your fire to take the steps necessary to accomplish those dreams. Also, what I would also encourage you to do is take the time necessary to celebrate your victories. There are going to be many times that you're going to have to analyze some missteps that you take. And it's human nature that we're going to fall into that negativity bias and we're going to beat ourselves up time and time again for all the mistakes that we've made. Take the time necessary to analyze your success. Find what actions, what mechanics led you to that success so you can emulate it in the future. Also, set goals that can be measured by time and that are associated with a specific benchmark. So when you reach that benchmark, you can celebrate it. You can take that well-deserved success, that well-deserved victory lap to refuel your fire to get back to task. So first thing you need to do is make sure you meet the requirements, i.e. be a veteran. Then meet with a VA rep to go over all the other requirements, get the documents necessary, come up with a good plan, do a feasibility study, then get up and take action. I do advise individuals to set aside a emergency fund or a pot of money to start their business. Now that number is going to vary from person to person based on the factors that apply to their unique situations. However, I would also encourage people not to put hurdles up in front of yourself. There's always going to be an excuse why not to start right now. The last thing you need to do is start creating new excuses for yourself. The most important thing is just to get off the couch and start now. Whether that's doing research, whether that's meeting with like-minded people, or whether that's putting yourself in a situation to slowly and diligently work towards your goal, start that now. I think it's very important to talk over your ideas with your significant other and the people whose opinion you value. I mean, not just because you want to gain their support, but just to gain their perspective. To accurately identify what success and failure looks like. Because later on, you're going to want to measure that. And if you are able to accurately identify some tangible benchmarks, you'll be able to go back to that later on and analyze whether your expectations were met and if theirs were met as well. Also, don't try to define what their support looks like. You have to understand support comes in many different forms. And if they don't want to give that support, they don't owe it to you. You have to understand that this is your vision. These are your dreams. You have to be willing to walk that path along if you want to achieve your goal. Just get up and take action. One of the most profound moments that I've had on this journey is just having somebody tell me that, hey, you've talked about it for so long. It is time for you to get up and do it. I remember years ago, I was sitting down talking to my wife and we were going over the idea. We were talking over the idea and she finally said, hey, listen, you have the resources. You have a degree in the field. You have years of experience working in business. Just get up and do it. And I can tell you that was the best advice that I have ever received, and I will be eternally grateful for that advice.